So this topic was about the systems of equations. And remember, we're talking about systems of equations, not inequalities. That means that they are going to be lines, but there is not going to be any shading. And so when we do this, we need to take one line at a time. So let's take this top line. And we have x minus 2y is equal to 8. I need to solve it for y so I can find the slope and the y-intercept. So I'm going to move my x to the opposite side. And when it crosses that equal sign, it changes the sign. It changes to a minus x plus 8. And then I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. And so y is equal to 1/2 x minus 4. And so my y-intercept is 0, -4. So I'm going to come down here to -4. I'm going to plot my y-intercept. And then my slope is 1/2, which means I'm going to rise 1, go right 2. Rise 1, go right 2. Rise 1, go right 2. 1, go right 2. And so that gets me all the way across my graph going to the right. Now going left, I drop 1, go left 2, drop 1, go left 2, drop 1, go left 2, drop 1, go left 2. And when I'm working with systems of equations and I'm graphing, I like to be as accurate as possible by graphing all the way across the x-axis. So now let's switch gears and use the other equation. And so I'm going to switch colors here. So let's look at the second equation. And so we have 6x minus y is equal to -7. So that means I need to move my 6x across the equal sign because it needs to be opposite side from the y. So if it's positive on the left, it's going to be negative on the right. Then I'm going to divide everything by -1. And so y is equal to 6x plus 7. So my y-intercept is at 7. And to go to the right, I would need to rise 6 and go right 1, but that's off my graph paper, so I need to go back left. Drop 6, go left 1. Drop 6, go left 1. And then I'm off the graph. But when I did it this way, you can see how I could automatically see where they intersect at. And they're intersecting at this ordered pair right here. And that ordered pair was at -2, -5. And so that's the solution. So let's do the same thing on 25. We're going to take each equation one at a time. Y minus 6 is equal to 4x. Get it to where we have y only on one side. So we move the 6x to the right. So we have 3y is equal to, moving the 6 over to the right, we have 4x plus 6. Divide everything by 3, because that's what our coefficient is in front of our y. And so y is equal to 4/3 x plus 2. So let's find our y-intercept. And that is 0, 2. So going to 2. And now I'm going to move with my slope. My slope is 4/3. So I rise up 4, go right 3. And if I do it again, it's off the graph. Let's go down. Right, drop down 4, go left 3. Drop down 4 again. And go left 3. And the next one's going to be off my graph. So let's go ahead and do the other inequality, or other equation. And we have 16x plus 24 is equal to 12y. And so if we're trying to get everything away from the 12, that means we just need to divide by 12. And so we need to reduce this. 16 divided by 12 can both be reduced by 4, giving us 4/3 x. 24 divided by 12 is 2. And then we have y. And if you look, this is the exact same equation. That means that I'm going to graph just on top of this. And when that happens, it means it's infinite. Solutions. So let's go down and do the next several. I don't care what method you use. Use the method that works best. I'm not going to do a substitution on these two. I'm going to use elimination because they are better set up for elimination. So when I look for elimination, I look to try to cancel out either x or y. For this problem, I think it's going to be best for me to try to cancel out x. So I'm going to multiply by -5. And so the first equation is going to get written down just like it is. 5x minus 4y is equal to 9. And then I'm multiplying everything in that second equation by -5. So that's -5x minus 35y is equal to 30. And so when I add these two, my x's cancel out, leaving me a -39y is equal to 39. Divide both sides by -39. And y is equal to -1. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to plug it into one of those two equations to find x. I'm going to use that second equation because it has x with a coefficient of 1. So x plus 7 times -1 equals -6. So x minus 7 is equal to -6. We're going to add 7 to both sides. And so set x is equal to 1. So my answer is the ordered pair of -1, 1. Oh, excuse me, of 1, -1. So now let's work 27. So when I come over here to 27, I look to see what is the easiest thing to cancel out. And for me, I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that I have a -y and a 3y. So I'm just going to multiply this equation by 3, and then my y's can cancel. So I'm just going to write down the first equation like it was. 2x plus 3y is equal to -35. And then my second equation, I'm going to multiply it all by 3. So 24x minus 3y is equal to -69. And so I am going to now do the arithmetic here, and 2 plus 24 is 26x. My y's cancel out. -35 plus -69 is going to give me a -104. And when I divide both sides by 26, x is now equal to negative 4. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to plug it in to one of my two equations. So 2 times negative 4 plus 3y is equal to negative 35. It really doesn't matter which one you use. You'll come up with the same solution no matter which one you use. So negative 8 plus 3y is equal to negative 35. Add 8 to both sides. 3y is equal to a negative 27. And so y is equal to negative 9 when I divide both sides by 3. So my ordered pair is negative 4, comma, negative 9. Let's go on to the next set. These at recommended elimination, and elimination is usually my go-to, and so we're going to do that. This one's not set up for it. Our 10 is on the wrong side, and our 14 is on the wrong side, 14y. So I need to switch sides, and remember when it crosses the equal sign, what happens is the sign will change. So 3x minus 14y is equal to negative 10. And so when I'm looking here, I see that I have a negative 7y here. And so if I just multiply that second equation by negative 2, it's going to give me a positive 14y, which will be able to cancel. So that gives me a negative 16x plus 14y is equal to a negative 68. So I want to use those two equations to solve. So 3x minus 14y is equal to a negative 10. And a negative 16x plus 14y is equal to a negative 68. So we have a negative 13x is equal to a negative 78. And so we're going to divide both sides by negative 13. And so x is equal to a positive 6. So now that we know what x is, we can use that information and go into one of our equations and find y. I'm going to use this top one. So 3 times 6 plus 10 is equal to 14y. So 18 plus 10 is equal to 14y. So 28 is equal to 14y. Divide both sides by 14. And 2 is equal to y. So now I have the ordered pair of 6, comma 2. So let's take the second equation. So we're 29. And we see that we don't have x and y on the same side. And so we need to get the y's over to the other side on the top equation. And I need to get the y over to this side in this equation. So when I rewrite that, I have 18x minus 12y is equal to 7 And on the other one, I have 21 is equal to negative 12x plus 8y, which is not the way we're used to seeing it. We usually see it the other way around. So when I'm rewriting it down here, I'll write it the other way around. 18x minus 12y is equal to 7. And negative 12x plus 8y is equal to 21. So now I need to figure out what can I do to cancel out. I can either cancel out the x's or the y's. Well, if I look at the y's, 18 is 3 times 6, and 12 is 2 times 6. So that means this top one needs to be multiplied by 2, and the second one needs to be multiplied by 3. And that gives us our new equations to work with. So when I multiply 18 times 2, I get 36x minus 24y is equal to 14. When I multiply the second equation by 3, I end up with a negative 36x plus 24y is equal to 63. And my x's cancel out, and so do my y's. So that gives me a 0 is equal to 77. 0 can never equal negative 7, so it's false. And so it's no solution. If it would have come out as true, it'd be infinite solutions. So now let's go on down to the next one where we have the story problem with Ben collecting coins. Ben has a collection of quarters and nickels. And so I'm going to use X to represent his quarters. And Y to represent his nickels. And so if I want to make my first equation, I'm going to think about it with the money, the value. So the value of a quarter is 25 cents times my number of quarters. The value of a nickel is 5 cents times my number of nickels, which is Y. And then it tells me I have $5.35. So I've been dealing with these in pennies, so I need to make this one in pennies. That means I have 535 pennies. Now, on my second equation, we look at what other information it gives us. It tells us the number of nickels is so nickels, Y, is 5 less than twice the number of quarters. So that means everywhere I see a Y, I can substitute that in its spot. And that would be the easiest way for me to work this problem. Some of you may have done this with elimination. That is fine. 25x plus 5 times 2x minus 5 is equal to 535. So 25x plus 10x minus 25 is equal to 535. So I'm going to combine my x's, and that gives me 35x. I'm going to move my 25 to join the left. or to move from the left to the right, which gives me 560. Now I need to separate the 35 away from the x by division. And so x is therefore equal to 16. So I have 16 quarters. I can use this information and go back up to my second equation where I had y is equal to double my quarters, well my quarters were 16, minus 5. So that's 32 minus 5, which is equal to 27. It says find the number of each coin. So Ben has 16 quarters. And, oops. And 27 nickels. So the next story problem is about the composition notebooks and pencil packs. So I'm going to have pencil packs and composition notebook. And what are we talking about with them? Well, it wants to know how much money each of them will cost. So X is going to be one of them, Y is going to be the other. I need to come up with my two equations. So Aaliyah brought 4 composition notebooks, so 4y plus 3 packs of pencils. 3x is equal to 1093. Laura brought 7 composition notebooks, so 7y plus 2 packs of pencils, so 2x is equal to 1331. And so now I'm going to try to figure out what do I need to multiply each by. And so I can either cancel out the x's or the y's. I'm going to go with the x's. And so I'm going to choose one of them to be multiplied by a negative, so -2. And that gives me the equation, when I rewrite that, to be -8y minus 6x is equal to $21 and 86 cents. So let's take the second one. And I'm going to multiply it by a positive 3. And so that gives me 21y plus 6x is equal to 3993. Oh, that was a negative 21. I don't know if I put my sign there or not. All 3 of those numbers were negative. So when I combine those, what I end up with is my x's canceling out, and I have a 13y is equal to $18.07. So when I divide both sides by 13, I find out that y is equal to $1.39. But that's not what the question asks us. The question is asking for y. It's not asking for the cost for the composition notebooks. It's asking for x. It's asking actually for more specific than x. It's asking for how much each pencil cost. So I need to use this to help me do that next step. So I'm going to take that information and I'm going to plug it into one of the two equations. 4 times $1.39 plus 3y equals $10.93. And so that's going to be a $5.56 plus 3y is equal to $10.93. And so I'm going to subtract that from both sides, and I have 3y is equal to $5.37. So when I divide both sides by 3, I get that, oops, I was using the wrong letter. That's supposed to be an X. So X is equal to $1.79. Well, the question asks us how much would each pencil cost, what is the price per pencil? And so that means I need to take and figure out how many pencils are in a pack. Well, it tells us there are 10 pencils in a pack. And so I take that information and I'm going to divide that number by 10, and that gives me that each pencil is 17.9 cents. And if you had rounded that to 18 cents, I would not count it wrong. So each pencil cost 17.9 cents. And that would answer the question. So we just got to keep in mind, what is the question when we're looking at these? Sometimes it's one of the two answers. Sometimes we have to take it a step further. So just be aware of that. This next question is a system with 3 variables. So the first thing is we need to try to cancel out one letter in each of the equations. I chose to try to cancel out my x's. When I look at this, if I multiply the second equation by a -4, that's going to give me something to cancel out with. So if I have 4x plus 2y minus 5z is equal to 47. On the second equation, I'm multiplying everything by -4. So -4x plus 8y minus 24z is equal to 40. So I'm going to combine those. That's going to cancel out my x's. Gives me 10y minus 29z is equal to 87. So that gives me my next equation. So now let's go ahead and take and figure out. I'm done with that. I want to use this third equation. So 9x minus 7y minus z is equal to 75. I want to cancel out my x. That means I need to multiply that. And I want to use the middle equation. multiply it by negative 9 to help me. So negative 9 times x gives me negative 9x. Negative 9 times a negative 2 gives me a positive 18y. Negative 9 times 6 gives me a negative 54. Z is equal to 90. And so I'm going to combine those. My x's are gone again. And I have a 11y minus 55z is equal to 165. I notice that all of these numbers are divisible by 11, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so y minus 5z is equal to 15. I'm going to take these two and I'm going to combine them. And that's our next step. And so when I try to combine those, I have 10y minus 29z is equal to 87. And so I need to get it to where my x's or my y's or my z's cancel out. And if I take and multiply its equation by negative 10, it'll give me that 10 that I need to cancel with. So negative 10y plus 50z is equal to negative 150. And so my y's are gone this time. And I have 21z is equal to 63. Divide both sides by 21. And so z is equal to 3. Now I have z. I can use that to help me find my y. And so I have y minus 5 times 3 is equal to 15. So y minus 15 is equal to 15. So y is equal to 0. This is my second letter. Now we got to go back to one of the equations, and I'm going to use x. I'm going to get and use this one. So x minus 2y plus 6z is equal to negative 10. So my x we don't know, that's what we're trying to find this time. My y was 0, so 2 times 0 plus 6 times 3 is equal to negative 10. That's gone. So I have x plus 18 is equal to a negative 10. Oops, this would be a negative 3. I lost my sign. And so those that were having troubles trying to figure out where everything went, I'm sorry. Because that goes to positive 15, which would cancel out and give you a 0. This gives us a negative 18. And so x is equal to 8. And so my ordered triplet is 8, 0, negative 3. And so that's the last one from that set. That question will show up only as a bonus question.